Flosstube. My name is Mariam, more pronouns are she, her. You may know me as Romy Designs on Instagram or on Etsy. I'm a cross stitcher and a cross stitch designer, hence the Etsy shop. And you can find all my designs on my Etsy shop, and the link is down below. This is a channel about cross stitch and occasionally other crafty endeavors, but mostly cross stitch and designing cross stitch patterns. I have a WIP braid slash finish braid for you. Yes, it's that time of the year, it's end of the year, everyone is preparing for the new year, but how we close the year is usually with a WIP braid. So that's what I have for you today. Since I don't have, I think, let me see, I have 18 WIPs. So I decided to add my finishes to my WIP braid as well. So first we're gonna go over the finishes, and this includes all the projects, cross stitch project that I finished. I have a needle point project as well as a few crochet projects that I have finished during the year of 2024. I'm gonna usually include all of them as my finishes. My finishes are not just exclusively cross stitch finishes, it's just crafty finishes in general. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to try to go by the order I finished the projects, which means that I have to and by the way, I'm trying not to edit too much because otherwise this video will never be uploaded. I'm already have been like dilly-dallying and finding so many excuses not to record it, so I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible so I can actually be encouraged to post it. All right, so first finish. I really tried really hard to actually finish this project in 2023 because it was a 2023 sale, but I ended up actually finishing at early hours of 2024, so after midnight in 2024. So it's technically this is the first 2024 finish. So it's Peppermint Purple 2023 black work sale. Let me see, it's this way. So you can still look out for these sales that are put out by Peppermint Purple every year, and the borders and the order of the stuff is already out for 2025. So if you're interested, check them out. It's a website you can go to and check them out. It's worth trying, especially if you have not tried black work. This is a very easy way to get into it, because essentially what you get is a 52 kind of like a square of, like, you get a border, and then you have 52 spots, either rectangle or square. This year that I finished it was a square, or a combination of two, and then on weekly basis you get a drop, and it's one square a week, so it's very low pressure. And the way I finished it, I'd done that twice. I did it 2022 and then 2023, and every time I was able to keep up. And the way I did it was I did not like stitch one square a week. Instead I waited, and every 2 to 3 months I would just go and sit and stitch, like basically catch up, and it was really easy to catch up with the drops. So the fabric is 16 count Ada, hand dyed by Miss Light Pages. It doesn't have a name, but it's this very bright pink, and I use my favorite DMC color, which is 820, and it's one strand of that 820. All right, okay, I'm gonna just do this after I'm done, so you're gonna see a pile forming right there. All right, next was Stitch for Pride. I'm gonna include this here. The way I counted these as finishes, so this is like finish number 2 to 14, because I have counted every single drop, every single month as a single pattern, and I stitched them all together. So I'm counting each one as a finish. So here it is. This was a year-long stitch along, and put out by these 20 stitches, and they have designed different patterns for each month, and each of these patterns are inspired by a queer artist. And this was one of the best sales I participated in, and I was able to catch up and keep up with it. It was really easy to keep up with it, actually. The fabric is hand-dyed by Miss Late Pages, and the floss pack was hand-dyed by Jasmine from Knitting Nurse Jasmine. And yeah, super love it. I have to say, this one is Edward Gorey, I think is my absolute favorite one out of every single pattern. This one was my favorite. After that is Kenda Wiley, and after that is, of course, I mean, let's be honest, I love all of them all. Yeah, Frida Kahlo is the yellow one that I like a lot. It does have a monkey in it. All right. My plan is, I already purchased the 2025, and it goes the same way. So we're gonna have a drop each month inspired by a historic trans figure in history. So I'm looking forward to 2025 Stitch for Pride sale. So I ordered the fabric again. It was dyed by Miss Late Pages, and I didn't get the floss pack. I'm deciding to do what a lot of people did this year, which was waiting for to see the design, and then based on the design and the story, get inspired and just go into the stash and find something that actually matches that vibe, and a stitch with that floss. So I'm gonna do that instead. So yeah, I already ordered a frame for it, and I will frame it. Next was buttons. I'm gonna put a photo right here. So I designed these little buttons. One include the pride flag related to my identity as a queer person, and then also a sign that says like I'm deaf in my left ear, which that's the invisible disability that I have. So I'm sort of like, sometimes it's very difficult for me to understand other people, you know, hard of hearing. Anyway, so next is Stitching Makes Me Happy. By the way, I don't have all of the information about these. Some I know the fabric, floss, all of that. Some I just know the name of the design. So this is one of those cases. This is Stitching Makes Me Happy. I finished this in Flosstube at sea, right? Yes, went on a cruise, the Flosstube cruise and Stitchy cruise, and I finished this there. I just know the fabric is a 18 count Ada by Picture This Plus. Next is White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. Fabric is 18 count, if I'm not mistaken, color and cotton in rose water, and the threads are sulky threads, and this is my own color palette. Next is Chimo Bird Small, which was designed by Peruvian Flair. You can see it here. It was a gift for Jessie from Miss Slade Page's birthday, so we all got together and sent them bird finishes. So that was my finish and my gift. Next is Victorian License, and this was an ink circle pattern, and this is part of the round robin that I'm part of with Julie from Kansas City Girls in Color the World, Tara from Wilder Woman Crafting, and also Julie from Julie and Stitches 16. So all four of us are doing the round robin, you know, on our own. And my pattern is still like, this is the end, like the last person who's gonna stitch on it is Julie, and I'm waiting for that. I know that she was working on it, and when she's done, she's gonna send it to me. And we're already thinking about the next year, and I actually started my pattern for next round, and I will show you that pattern in my WIPs. Okay, so I don't have it, but when I finished it, it looked like this. Next was a bookmark that I designed. At some point I have to actually release that pattern, but yeah, it was a really simple design that I did, and this was for an EGA, Embroidery Guild of America. Our chapter collects bookmarks and donates those to library, and this was my contribution. So, and I stitched it on perforated paper, and it looks like that. And then next is Reflections of Scotland. This is again part of that round robin. This was Julie from Kansas City Girl in Color the World's pattern, and when I finished my section, it looked like this. And next is Queer, which was a Junebug and Darling kit, and it's hung in my cubicle at office, so it looks like that. Next is The Natural World Sal by Pixel Pixie Cross Stitch. Let me show you this. So this is not the original. I mean, the original pattern was way larger than this, but I decided, like, I ran out of this theme. In the 2024, we, when I say we, it's like Needle Minders group, which is me, Asar from Mod Cross, Nietzsche from Daybreak Stitchery, and Julie from Julie in Stitches 16. We're part of a group. We call ourselves Quad City Needle Minders. We are living in Quad City areas, which is like Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and we get together in person once a year, and on Zoom at least once a month, just to check in, stitch together, and all of that. And so one of the things that we did during the past year was we did different videos together, and one of the projects that we picked up was Lemon to Lemonade. The idea was picking up a project, a WIP that is not inspiring you, and it's not, you find it really difficult to actually stitch on it, and then discuss it with the group, come up with the idea of what to do with it, and then proceed to either change it, stick to it, come up with a strategy to make sure that you're actually stitching on it, or UFO it. Like, that is still counted as like a success, because that project would basically would be out of your WIP collection, essentially. So I chose Chrissy's Sal, because not because I didn't like it. Let me show you my finish first. So this is my finish. So this is, if you are familiar with the pattern, you know that that's not how it looks like. This is not what Christy actually designed. Between these two, there's a huge like box here of a coat, and there are like more of these boxes, and the border is longer, and the shape is not a square. What I have now is a square. So what I ended up doing was getting rid of the coat, because I found that it's not inspiring me. So instead I stitched what I actually liked from the pattern. So I ended up with this. And this is on a tan 18 count Aida, and I use sulky 12 weight blendable in olive something. Anyway, so that's what I did with it. So next was a model that I stitched for my Pride release, which was Child of the Rainbow. Is actually right there, but you can see how it looks like here. And that was a stitch on 22 count white Aida using Cosmo threads. Next was a secret project. I can't tell you about it. Yeah, other than it was a stitch on Aida using silk. Next was Byron Blackbird. This was another one of those projects that we picked up with the needle minders. We picked different patterns from RC Housewives, RC Housewife, and I chose Byron because it's like magnificent bird. The challenge was to just pick stuff from a stash. So the fabric is from a stash. I think it's like Grandpa's sleeve from Extra Design, and then the threads are all from leftover, my leftover pile. So a lot of them I don't even know. Some of them are DMC, some of them are random threads that they don't have any mark or anything on them. So anyway, so that's my finish. Next is my only fully finished, I mean not only, because I do have other fully finished objects, but only soft fully finished object that I can actually show you is Frog. Pattern is by Sarah from Mott Cross, and I made a tote out of it. So I needed a tote to take with me to EGA meetings, because you know I haul a lot of stuff with me all the time, and EGA gives us totes, but the tote that they gave us was really small. So I wanted something more substantial and bigger, and also I wanted to, you know, use some of my fabric, my fun fabric, and also use one of the patterns, one of the finishes that I have for it. So here it is. I fully finished frog on this tote, and the instruction for the tote I found on a YouTube video, some random video, and I modified it. So I mean the instruction didn't include cross stitch pattern, but so I modified the size so I can actually fit the pattern here, and the inside looks like that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the finish. I'm probably gonna like make more totes, maybe as gifts, because I think this is a very good way to finish your project, and also it's a valuable gift and actually usable gift. All right, next is Torange Sampler, which is another installment in my Voggy Red collection. It's right there, but you can't see it, so I'm gonna put it up here. It was a stitch on Give Stitch Me 20 count Aida in Paranormal, and I use Sulky thread in deep Naso blue. The number is 1293. And next was Elegant Squid. That's another row round robin pattern, ink stoker pattern. This one was Tara's project, and I love the color she chose, and it looks like that when I was finished with it. Next is another one of those row round robin projects, which was Green Damsel. This one is Julie in a Stitches 16 pattern, and it looked like that. Okay, and I really enjoyed the stitching on these projects very much. Next was Quaker Crow by Work Basket. I have an obsession with Work Basket patterns, and I have tons of them, and I want to, you know, hopefully be able to finish, I mean, stitch not, if not all, at least most of them. So this is one of the ones that I actually did work really hard to find it. It was hard to find. They were out of it like everywhere. I finally found it. I stitched it on Digi Stitchery. This is a printed fabric. This is my back. Not bad, huh? It's not bad. In autumn, and then I use Threadworks in Lava something. I don't know. It's just Threadworks floss. One strand over one on Ada. All right. This was my EGA meeting project, so I would take it with me to EGA meetings because it was really easy stitching for the condition that we have our meetings on, which is it's in a library and the lighting is not the optimal, so I have to be careful what I actually take with me, and this worked perfectly. All right, next was a secret model. I can tell you that it was for 2025 Burp Box. So if you were one of the lucky ones who ordered your box, you will get that pattern hopefully sometime in by the end of, I think, January or beginning of February. So it was the model that I stitched for that design. Next was 1 Dozen Quaker. This was a sale that was started by EJ from Sunshine Stitchers, and so this is by Rosewood Manor, and she divided this into 12 sections, and this was a 13-month sale. So we started in December and ended in December. I actually ended it, like, finished it sooner than that, but anyway, so that's that. I know the fabric is Red Tail. It's a 16 count hand-dyed Ada by Mislaid Pages. It's more of like a 17, closer to 18-ish. And then I stitched it with Sanjo silk, which is actually a yarn for machines, and is silk. So this is silk 30-20 weight, and in colorway moss. And I love the effect because it does have this peekaboo effect, because the color matches one of the colors of the fabric. So I intentionally chose that floss so I can have this peekaboo effect. All right. Next is Tom's Foolery. This is another FFO, but I don't have it with me. It's hung up and it's not here. It looks like this. It's by Hands Across the Sea. This is a reproduction. I don't like a lot of reproduction patterns, but I really like, unless they're very unique. So this one definitely is very unique. And I stitched it on 20 count cashmere blue Ada, and I use my own sulky palette. I mean, the colors are as close as possible to what you see as the colors of the actual model, but with a little bit of variation. I made a little bit of modification to the pattern. Pattern had Adam and Eve motif. I changed that to Crowley and Aziraphale from Good Omen, because why not? And I didn't want to stitch Adam and Eve motif, but I was happy to stitch Crowley and Aziraphale, so it looked really nice. I'm really happy with that decision, and it looked very, very, very nice. So yeah, so that's that. And then the next is my only and first needlepoint project, Tumbling Stripes. Looked like this. This was one of those learning projects that EGA, like one of the programs that EGA offers. I'm really glad that I was introduced to needlepoint through EGA, because I had the, you know, the support of other members who were familiar with it, and I was able to actually start the project with everyone and get some guidance and see a model, like other people's like work on the same project before I was on my own and finished it on my own. So I was so happy with it that you will see in my WIPs that I actually have another needlepoint project now in my WIPs. So yeah, so that was that. Next is my pride and joy. I actually am super happy about this. This was my first ever Fancy Lady, and it's Like a Potty by Villa Filipina. Look at her in her glory. So she is a trans goddess of fertility and abundant harvest, and she looks absolutely stunning. The only modification I did, I don't like beading, and so instead of beading, I replace all of those beads with Petit Treasure braids, so all more sparkly threads instead of beading. I'm so happy with the finish, and I'm waiting for the frame that I ordered for her to arrive so I can frame her. Let me show you the back too. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the back. Okay. Next is Cuckoo Sampler, which is this little guy. This was again on cashmere blue 20 count, using cottage garden thread in Golden Golly and like to a strand. And also this was the first time I actually attempted beading, so like these has like a tiny little beads at the bottom. So yeah, so that was the last cross stitch. And then in the past month I stitched 7 hats, 7 crocheted 7 hats. I only have one because the rest were gifts. So this is a crochet hat that I made myself. It's a rainbow color. This is super easy. This was absolutely easy formula. Like this, the pattern is so easy. I'm gonna link the, if I remember, I'm gonna link the instruction video down below. It's super fast, and the chunkier your yarn is, the quicker you will finish it. And I had actually held two yarns together, both DK weight, and one is the rainbow one and the second one is a navy blue one. This is super warm. I'm tempted to add a pom-pom at the top, but you know, you can add pom-pom to it, but I didn't, you know. So yeah, so those are all of my finishes. Now next I have my WIPs to go through. All right, so I have a whole box of them here. They're supposed to be, I mean, I have an order here, but it's order means nothing because they're not in any specific order anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stuff from the pile and open it, and if I need to refresh my memory, then I'm going to go to the list that I have and look for details, because I think I have more details on the WIPs that I have about my finishes. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the very top one, which is incidentally the most recent WIP. Okay, so you remember I said like I started a new needlepoint. This is it. So it's something different. This is how it will look like. This is a super old pattern. It's from 1992 and it's by Diane Evans. Girl, this instruction, if I didn't know how to do needlepoint, where to start or anything else from the project that I did with the guild, I would have been lost and just given up on it. But because I'd done that, I had some base knowledge of how to go about it and how to read the instruction, because it's super confusing the way it's written. I feel like it's written for people who know exactly what they're doing. So it's like very minimal instruction. It's like hint hint, this is, you know how to do it, but here is like I have to tell you, so here's my point. And so if you don't know what to do, it's very confusing. So yeah, so I started that the other night, I think last night, and this is where I am. So I started on the border, and this one has beading too, so it will have some beading in the border and in the middle. Okay. And so yes, I'm gonna slowly work on that as well. Again, apologies for zipper sound, and then after I'm done, I'm gonna just throw the project behind me, so hopefully that doesn't offend anyone. Next is let me see. So this is my 2025's round robin project. It's Reflections on Grecian Urn. This is the black and white copy of it. And I'm dividing it in a unconventional way, so corner to corner instead of squared up, because I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to stitch an octopus, a panther, and I thought at the beginning this was lobster, but it's not a lobster. I think this is a scorpion. So, and a scorpion. So the fabric is 32 count hemp by Jackson Fiber Art. This is a very unique fabric. I love the weight of it and how it falls, but it does split. I don't know how to explain it. When it's soft, so when you are trying to, if you're not careful, instead of actually going between the threads, you're actually going to pierce it, so you do need to pay attention when you're stitching it. And I'm using 2 strands of Moselle silk in Wishful Thinking, which is a very beautiful purple. Let me show you the thread. I really love this silk. And if you have not tried Moselle silk, do. This is one of the best silks, and for the price, it's actually unbelievable how affordable this is, considering how much silk you get. So yeah. I'm gonna try to put this away because this will be difficult to just leave it like that. I need to put them away. So yeah, my goal is to finish my section by the end of January, so I can send it out to Julie. Okay, next I started another work basket pattern, Crochet. I kitted this up in my first visit to Beautiful Sip and Stitchery. Fabric is 32 count Zweigart even weave in is it Antique Atlantic? Let me see. Atlantic Vintage, and then it's a printed one, and I am stitching it 1/1. I started 2/2. Whoa, that's like, it will be huge, and I don't need this pattern to be I don't need a huge finish. And this even weave is really easy to see, so I'm doing 1/1. I finished the sun. And my palette is mostly color and cotton. I just picked the colors based on the image on the front, and I just picked flosses from the rack there. Next, okay, I need to find it on my list. So this is Come to the Garden by Teresa Colgert. This is how it should look like. This is based on the called for. If you go by the called for, this is what it will look like. However, I'm doing my own thing. I'm stitching on Picture This Plus 18 count in Mystic, and which is dark blue, this, and I am using my own Sulky color palette. So I love this. So this was like a challenge for me because I almost gave up on this project. For whatever reason, I could not stick to it. And then I changed my fabric, and that helped a lot. Next, next is the Namari Tapestry by Mother Folk Embroidery. This is the pattern, and I'm stitching it on Zweigart Lugana in 20 count Lugana in Sunflower, and I'm using Sanjo silk, and I'm stitching 1/1 Sanjo silk in Metallic. how much I have. I mean, I've been thinking that maybe I need to get rid of this middle part and just put these two, top and bottom, together and just stitch those two and call it a day. I don't know. I do like the elvish part too, but we'll see. Reality is I have so many projects that if I don't cut down on some of them, they will never be finished. So something gotta give, something gotta give. Next is Mother Moon. This is by Joan Elliott. This is what it looks like. And I am doing mostly called for. I'm stitching it on 18 count Mystic fabric in Wisteria. And I replaced all the beads with Petite Treasure braid, and that's how much of it I have stitched. It's super sparkly. You can't see the sparkle, but it's super sparkly. It's essentially almost like full coverage, and I do count this as Fancy Lady. Now that I think about it, I thought that I did not have any other like Fancy Lady other than the Lakapati, but I think I mean this counts, right? She is fancy, she's a lady, and yeah, it's full coverage and full of details and all of that. So okay, next. Oh, next is my model. So this is Bahar. I don't think I have a cover photo of this. No. Looks like this. The pattern is already available in my Etsy shop. I am using called for threads. I need to stitch this model at some point. I'm using 36 count terracotta Edinburgh linen, and yeah, that's how much I have. Seriously, this is ridiculous. I mean, I love my design. I do need to finish it, but I might need to actually get someone to stitch this for me. We'll see, we'll see. I'm contemplating putting a call out for you know, model stitchers, and I'm probably gonna pass this to someone to stitch it for me. Okay, next is, there it is. This is my only project on 40 count, and this is by Heartstring Samplery, and it's on 40 count. Picture this plus Hunter? Is it Hunter? Is it Huntress? Let's see. Let's see if I can find her on the list of things that I have here. So many. Come on. Great. Oh, here we go. Huntress. Yes. And I'm using white floss. And this is my ridiculously shameful start. That's all I have. Yeah. I mean, the fabric, gorgeous. It's 40 count, so it's not easy to stitch on, not for me. I need to use magnifying glasses and light, and so yeah, I will stitch it at some point because I love it and I love that fabric so much. So next, let's see what's next. Ooh, one of my favorite, Heart Sampler by Bad Vibes Only. If you have not seen this pattern, go to Etsy, search your name. I mean, come on. This is gorgeous. So I'm not stitching it on pink and stuff. Let me find it first. I am stitching it on Spiced Honey by Color and Cotton, and I'm using my own Saki conversion. So it's less pinky, more ready. So that's another pattern I really want to go to and stitch on, but I had a chance. Next is I mean, I'm gonna be tired of saying this, but I actually love all of my WIPs. There's a reason for it, because I have been through the past year, I have been going through my collection of WIPs relatively regularly. I think I would say I went through them 3 or 4 times in the past year, and I weeded out a lot of projects that I was not stitching on for one reason or another. And I UFO'd some, and I have finished a few, as you saw. So now I love everything that I have in my WIP pile, and that is a problem. That is a big problem, a good problem, but it's still a problem. So this one is by Hemlock and Rye. There's a Ghost Goth. This is, if you're not familiar, this is Julie from Kansas City Girls on in Color the World's brand. This is a reproduction. When I say I like my reproduction to have some, you know, be unique and have some sass, this is what I mean. Just look at this. This is not the in original color palette. She actually changed the palette for this version. There are 3 versions of this pattern. One with like a aged colors, like a front of the pattern, front of the finish, and then one with the colors on the back, which are bright, and then this one is Goth, which is the most beautiful color palette of blues and purples and teals and like some surprising neon colors there, and it's just beautiful. I love this so much. And now when I show you my start on this, you will say, what happened? Didn't you just say that you love this pattern? I don't see it. And you'll be right, because I haven't spent that much time on it at all in the past year. And this is, let me see, what is this fabric? The fabric is hand dyed by Jim Devosa 18 count in Cauldron, and I'm stitching 2/1 using Called for DMC, and I have a little bit of like border and I mean 3 motifs, that's it, and that's the fabric. Yeah, it's shameful. What can I do? Only if there was someone who could just leave me a lot of money so I can quit my job and just stitch all day, then my problem will be solved. But alas, life of an independent woman, right? Okay, let's see. Oh, right, so this is a newish, relatively newish Sal. I mean, it is new Sal. put a bird on it. That's 2025's that's EJ's 2025 Sal. It's Quaker inspired sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. So this is originally charted as monochrome. The model was stitched in colors, and I decided to do my own way. So I am stitching it on Zweigart Tenerife 18 count in wine, which is this fabric that is like linen, but super large. Like this is like a very low count, and I'm stitching in 1/1, so I love the effect. It's very weighty. It's not as it's not like linen at all. And I am using my own let me fold it. This is so big. And I'm using my own teal and blue color palette from Sulky. So that's what I have. That's my start. So they're mostly solid colors with just one blendable, which is this one. So this is another 13-month sale. So we started in December, and we're gonna end of next December. The pile is getting bigger. All right, where are we? Next is another Jacob pattern. This is a free pattern. You can find it on his website, Free Palestine. And I am changing the middle, and instead it will say from the river to the sea, and I have not recharted that, so that's where I have it stopped. So let me show you. And I am stitching this on 32 count fabric flare in burnt parchment. This was an exclusive pattern dyed for Garon Stitchery. And I'm using one of the Anchor reds, and a blendable Sulky. So it's 2/2 for the Anchor, and for the Sulky is 1/2. So yeah, so I have to add the coat here, so I stopped. Yeah. I was hoping we end the year with the end of genocide, but there is no end in sight. Okay. Next is another work basket. This was my unicorn pattern, and I was so lucky that I was able to find a copy on eBay. It's a very hard to find work basket pattern. It's Stitch in Time. This is another, like, it's a sampler. It's not a reproduction, it's original. And it's all like charted in, blues and beige, stitched on beige. That's not me. You should know by now, that's not me. So I'm doing my own thing. What colors do you think I'm going with? These colors. So my fabric is 18 count, hand dyed by Dee. This I won this in their snail mail club, which is like when you watch their videos, if you leave a comment, they will pull names sometimes, and then they will just send you something randomly. And I got this beautiful fabric, hand-dyed by them, and I am using my own color palette. It's a combination of silk, over-dyed, all that, and it's 1/1 on 18 count. So I made a good progress this year. This flower pot was a beast. It took so much stitching. Anyway, so yeah, so that's that. I would love to finish this next year in 2025. So let's see if we can do that. Next, this WIP is, I'm going to share the bag or folder, this one, because this was a gift from my friend Julie, Julie in Stitches 16. When we went on our needle minder retreat, she gave all of us these portfolios, and she customized them based on the characters or interests of people that she gifted the pattern to, the portfolio to. And I got a unicorn, and inside looks like that. There are pockets, and the vinyl for me is all sparkly, so I love that. And in it is a project that I actually started while we were on that retreat, and the goal and I had everyone stitch on it with me, and the goal is for me to finish it and add Needle Minder Retreat 2025 at the 2024 at the bottom of it, and so it will be commemorating that retreat that I went to. And this is an ink circle pattern. Let me first show you the pattern. I have it somewhere. Yep, it's a strawberry square. That's what it looks like. It's actually very small. This is 75 by 75. It's super small. And in one sitting, all four of us were able to finish a quarter. So a quarter of it is already done. So the fabric is 20 count Ada from Be a Stitch Me in Tundra, and I'm using one of the variegated DMC flosses in 4517. And this is another gift from Julie. Just look at the beauty of it. So gorgeous. I should get back to this. I mean, I should get back to all of them. But especially this, because this will be a very easy finish. I might actually change that to my EGA meeting project. That way I'll be able to finish it really easily, because you know, it's sit and it's stitch for a couple hours at least, so that's a good chunk of time, once a month at least, to stitch on something. We are almost done. I cannot believe it, but we're almost there, done. Next is, I don't have a cover photo. The cover photo looks like that. This is Know Thyself. This was a limited edition pattern by Dee. You can tell I have a favorite, right? Between Dee and Jacob, it's like, you know. So yeah, this one is on, I know it's a Zwagart fabric. Is it a 20 count? Come on, come on. Yeah. This is 20 count Lugana in deep blue, and I am using my own sulky palette. This is almost 1/4 done, almost. Not 1/4. This is almost the first page. Okay. And this is a limited edition. I don't know if Dee will ever release this. He released this like for a limited time to basically collect funds and raise funds for his top surgery. So it's a special one. Oh, by the way, this is Anna from Peruvian Flares pattern. This is one of my old finishes that I turned. I love turning my finishes into project bags. Ooh, a couple more. We're getting there. Okay. Next is Flavor of Autumn by Mary Weaver. This is what it looks like. It's a full coverage project. I'm stitching it 2/1 on 20 count Aida in half stitches, and I'm 1/4 of the pattern in. I'm 1/4 done. I really love this project. I really do. Okay. Ooh. Next. Ooh. And this is it. This is the last one. I cannot believe it. This is, where's the cover? Legend of Lake Geneva by Alice Stitching House. So I am not gonna stitch this, the wording of it. I'm gonna push the border up. I will not stitch that. So I'm stitching it on, I don't know the name of the fabric. I know it's a Riverside Fabric and Design, but have no clue which one. And I'm using my own sulky palette. So I have the Mercury Sun done and one of the flowers. Ooh, and that is it. That is it. Yep. So I have 18 WIPs currently. I have 3 hard, like very solid planned starts at the beginning of the year. So my total of WIPs during the for the year of 2025 will be up to 21. I am planning on not starting anything new other than those 3 starts at the beginning of the year, and my focus will be mainly on those 2 of those starts will be sales. So my focus will be on those, and then my projects, my WIPs. My hope is for me to be able to work through and finish those 2 sales, at least a couple of those sales that I'm starting this year, and aside from that, to be able to at least finish 4 to 5 of those WIPs that I currently have in my stash. problem is, aside from one or two, the rest of my WIPs are far have a lot of stitching left in them, so it will be a challenge to get them close to finish. However, it's not impossible. I am thinking that I can technically and, you know, potentially do at least like focus on a couple of them quarterly and just switch them around, so that way while I am working, so I have some fresh you know, stimulation, and when this stuff gets tedious, I can work on my sals, because I have I will be working on 3 different sals, and 2 of them have like new patterns involved every month. So so that way I will have something new to stitch every month at least, through those 2 sals. And then so the rest of the time I can focus on a few of those like older like WIPs, to be able to make some good progress on them. So I don't know which one will call me, and you know, which one I will focus on first, but I'm gonna leave those that are smaller. I don't have many of those small patterns anyway, but I'm gonna leave those smaller ones for EGA meetings and other gatherings when I have other distractions, so I don't, you know, I don't need a lot of attention. And then those bigger projects that have a lot of flosses and stuff involved, I leave them for stitching at home, and, you know, so I can dedicate time to them. So because I actually have talked a lot about like those 3 projects, so let me just let you know which projects I'm planning to start. So first is a Stitch for Pride 2025, and as I mentioned earlier, it's designed by these 20 stitches, and you know, these are the last few days that you can actually purchase that sal. When I think at midnight of New Year, they would just shut it down. So before New Year, they will shut it down, and the pattern will not be available anymore. So if you want to participate, you need to get on it now. And so that has like monthly drops. And then the other one that I'm working on is, this is something that I am working on. I have separated 40 of my paper charts that I picked because I was drawn to it based on 1 or 2 motifs. And I don't want to hold on to these patterns forever, knowing that I would never probably stitch the whole thing. I will never have, like, let's be honest, there's so many WIPs that I have now, and there's so many other like new projects, interesting projects that will call to me. So why would I waste my time on stitching a project, starting a project that I know that I'm only interested in like a very small part of it? So I decided, and this is a sal that me and Julie in a Stitches 16 we're doing together, and we both are hitting a major birthdays this year in 2025, and I'm turning 40, and so I'm picking 40 patterns, and based on that, I'm gonna try to go through them on a monthly basis. My goal is to pick 4 a month. So that gives me a little bit of cushion, so some months I might actually stitch less and I will be able to catch up. So hopefully by the end of year I'll be able to finish and be done with all 40 patterns. As I stitch and I finish my, you know, my need for that pattern on monthly basis. So what I'm planning to do is, this is like a sale slash giveaway together. That's why I picked paper patterns, because I want to be able to pass them on after I'm done with them. Because just because I'm interested only in a small part of it doesn't mean that someone else will not want to stitch all of it or another part of it. So how it will work is, I'm gonna just, between two like floss tubes, I'm gonna work on my patterns, and those that I'm done with I'm gonna set aside, and then during the next floss tube, when I'm sharing my update on the web, which will end up being a spot sampler, and I'm using the hashtag, we're using the hashtag spot your number sale. So if you're, and it doesn't need to be a specific like birthday related number, it can be any number. Do you have 10 patterns in your stash that you're just want to stitch part of it and be done with that? Do you want to stitch on 5? That's okay. You want to pick 100, pick 100. However you want to go through that and pick a number, just pick a number, and that will be your number for this spot sampler. And also there is no limitation in how many motifs from a sampler you decide to stitch. So let's say your number is 2, you stitch 2, you have 2 patterns that you don't really like all of it, but you want to mash them together. Why not mash them together and just stitch some of the patterns, some of the motifs from one and some other motifs from the other one, and then make your own sampler with those motifs that you like and you enjoy. So that's my plan. I have selected a neutral Ada, I think it's 20 count, and I have a whole bunch of like random, and I decided to pair that with my you know, going through my flosses stash. And so if I had like a mystery flosses or flosses that I have like leftover from projects, I'm using those in this sampler. So how it works is, during the time that I'm sharing my update on the WIP, I basically will put however how you know, how many patterns that I have worked on and done with, those for giveaway. So one person will win, let's say 1 2 3, how, you know, whatever the number of patterns that I went through between the 2 Flosstube is, one person will win those. So this will continue for the whole year. So as I go through my pile of 40 patterns and I stitch on those and I'm done with those patterns, I give them away. So that way I get to share my excitement and happiness of turning 40 and with you. And so if you like to join in, please do. With the stitching, use the hashtag spot your number sal, and also stay tuned for updates and for giveaways. So yeah, for the rest of this year I'm gonna just still work on these. Hopefully I'm not gonna have another start. Oh yeah, and the last start that I mentioned, I almost forgot, is we're starting a sale for like a stitching on like a pot stitching on Bella Filipina patterns. After like a potty, that was my only like Bella pattern, and I really love the stitching on it. So now I'm gonna just try to branch out. So this time I ordered a pattern from Bella with beads. So I'm gonna try my hand in beading. Wish me luck. This can go disastrously wrong or it will be wonderful, who knows. Anyway, so that's another solid start. So as soon as I get that pattern in the mail, I will be starting that project in 2025, whenever that is. I placed the order literally today, so whenever that arrives, I'm gonna start it. All right, hope is for it to arrive around my birthday, which is January 4th. That's a big wish, but you know, a girl can wish. So I'm wishing that it will be here by then so I can actually stitch on it. All right. Okay, enough of that. I'm gonna try to record in a couple days and talk about my, you know, update. I'll see if I have any other update to make it separate video about, or I'll talk to you at the end of January. All right. So whatever you do, as much or as little stitching as you do, please enjoy. Take care of yourself and others. Be kind to yourself and others. Also don't forget to do good. And there are tons of people around that are in need of support and assistance, financially, and with our bodies, with our mind, with our voice. And use your voice for good. Advocate for Palestine, advocate for other countries that are, other people that are now oppressed, and for indigenous folks, for queer folks. There are so many people in pain, so use your voice for good. Yeah, and take care, and I see you soon. Bye.